This is K-12 Tech Talk. K-12 Tech Talk. The podcast by K-12 Techs for K-12 Techs. Real conversations, real arguments, and real banter on trending K-12 technology topics and issues.
Live from the NTP studios, this is the K-12 Tech Talk podcast, episode 148. My name is Josh. I really don't know where I am tonight because we've changed names, we've got new signage. This is now the NTP studios that we are in, and it's just confusing me to no end. I've tried to start this episode like 5 times.
Mark got a haircut?
Yeah. For the new studio. Got it.
New year, new Mark.
New year, new studio. Happy New Year. We were going to lead in with 3, 2, 1, Happy New Year, but
we had an argument. Nobody wanted to do it but Josh.
Yep. And Mark, I'm seeing a dance club wristband. Did you go clubbing before the show?
I just came back from the bar.
Okay. I would say that's clubbing. Yeah.
Yeah, that works.
In full disclosure, this is well after business hours on a Thursday night. Mark's mom, don't worry. Yeah. So Happy New Year. NTP is here, our studio sponsor. Give David an email, DWREN at ntp-inc.com. for information about their SOC as a service product, their managed EDR with SentinelOne, their top tier SentinelOne product. Chris, we have pricing publicly available somewhere, don't we? Or is it on Pro?
Well, it's a little private. You got to join K-12 Tech Pro to get a hold of this really nice looking document that explains everything well. But if you reach out to David, if you mention the podcast, if you mention K-12 Tech Pro, he's going to give you access to that special what was that? You said I said it wrong.
You did say it wrong.
Consortium.
Nope, consortium.
Consortium.
Whatever.
Pricing.
Yes, and you know we've talked about this before, that his pricing for his SOC managed EDR is less than $50, and I said it once, I'll say it again. I don't mean $49.99. I mean less than $50. So give David an email. Ask him about the service and what other services, and you don't have to be in Missouri to take part in this. They can, they've got clients in Michigan, all over the place. So yeah, give David an email. I'm willing to bet he can save you some money on your SOC managed EDR. Gentlemen, it is the new year, 2024. We haven't been here for 2 weeks. New year, new us.
Yeah.
Did you guys get any Christmas projects accomplished?
I upgraded my Palo Alto firewall at like 6 something in the morning by myself.
I don't think you're supposed to mention the name of that.
That's how confident I am in
that they're gonna sponsor us sometime, because I mean we got Fortinet as a sponsor.
I had to reboot the firewall, which you do, once, twice a year, if have to be. I was nervous, and it took at least 5 minutes longer than what I thought it should have, and my heart was sinking. But it came back up.
I hate that feeling.
We're good.
Hate that feeling.
Yeah, for sure. Solid 5 minutes longer than, like, this doesn't feel right. But that was my big project.
You know what always makes you feel right is a Fortinet firewall. If you had a Fortinet firewall, you would feel right, Chris.
My heart would feel full.
If listeners wanted to feel right with the world, who at Fortinet would they contact?
Well, the guy's name is Chris Illingworth, and you can email him at fortinetpodcast@fortinet.com.
And since Chris has been with us and we've been talking about Chris, he has gone from like regional guy to like in charge of education for Fortinet, right?
He's a pretty big deal.
So yeah, and if you're in Missouri, some interesting news. There's a new sales guy that you might recognize. Not going to mention any names, but he is coming from a different company. You might recognize him, so be expecting some news from that. Mark, any Christmas projects? besides unwrapping Christmas presents?
You know what? I built a new computer for myself.
Did you really?
Yeah. You know what?
Whoa.
I was like, I had some issues with my home computer, had to upgrade it, got to the point where I was like, this just can't you can't upgrade things one at a time for so long. So I started from scratch and I had such a blast. Just
Wait.
like what?
You're a Mac user. How do you build a Mac? Or did you go to the store and buy a Mac? Is that
No,
what you mean?
I got a PC at home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like got the graphics card and the thermal paste, whatever you call it, and the
Look at you.
yeah. But I will say the problem though is like all the new stuff that you buy, I like put it all together and like turn it on, and uh, kudos to me, it turned on the very first time.
Nice. Didn't
No problems.
smoke.
Proud
No
of you,
smoke.
Mark.
Yep.
I'm proud of myself. But it lit up like a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Everything has like all these stupid RGB lights in it. So
You
yeah.
just alienated like
Guys,
half our listenership.
Gals, don't listen to Mark. He used to be a teacher. We know this.
Listen, I just want a computer that sits under the desk and just looks fine, right? But like it's got all the lights and it looks like
Yeah.
a Christmas tree.
I want a computer that looks fine.
Okay.
Chris wants to feel good and his PC to look fine.
All right. Well, I've gotten all the lights turned off, so I'm happy now.
It probably uses less power too. It's good for the electric bill.
Yeah.
I don't know. I went for the liquid cooling, so I'm pretty stoked.
Oh, did you really?
Oh, I went hardcore on this one. So
That
That's
podcast
cool.
check must have arrived. Did you accomplish any projects though, Mark? Did your
Work related, Mark.
I know you
Work.
probably didn't. Did you crack the whip and make your employees?
I will say I think the team overall needed a good break. So we did not have any major projects this year. This break. It was a good time to relax for everybody.
That's so nice of you, Mark.
Yeah.
I got the new Elon Musk biography,
Oh.
and I read that whole thing, and I feel like I'm a different person. Like I'm ready to fire people. I speak with like, just do this because I say so. And I do want to buy a Tesla. I have a new interest in space exploration. I think AI robots are absolutely coming. And I'm kind of all about X. I'm starting to post again.
I've got so many jokes I am biting my tongue on not saying right now.
I'm all in. I'm all in.
Never mind. We need to change the subject on that.
What?
Nothing. So I had a long list of projects we were going to accomplish. I think we got one done. Was I wanted to upgrade firmware on my firewall. I wanted to upgrade switch firmware, install a bunch of UPSs. Cameras got in. Well, okay, two projects. Cameras didn't get installed, but that was from an outside company. So we're going and we're placing these stinking new UPSs. Liebert, if you're listening, you really need to work on your management software. In the process of
what did you say, Liebert
or Vertiv, whatever you want to call
them?
Oh, their management software is god awful. But anyway, we're installing these UPSs and we finally have network attached UPSs. Super cool.
Yeah.
I'm doing one in a building. I get it plugged in, and immediately it starts sending all of these alerts like lost communication, found communication, lost communication, found, like over and over and over. I'm like, what in the hell is going on? Come to find out, like this was an entire day's worth of troubleshooting and trying to figure out what in the world was going on. I think I even texted you guys that I had a ghost. I was chasing a ghost. Come to find out, I think we had, and I actually, now that I think about this, I haven't gone back to investigate. I think we had a loop in our press box on the football field that was causing Loop Protect to take down a trunk port to my core for one of my buildings. And the only way I found it was because of this stinking UPS. Like I don't get into my core and monitor the fiber connections unless there's a problem, right? Like I've got 1,000 other things that I could be doing besides that. So that made me get into the core and start looking, and I'm seeing port flapping on this trunk port to one of my buildings. I'm like, how? So I started disabling switches, and of course it traced back to the stinking press box where, you know, everybody and their brother has a key to, and God knows who has access to on a Friday night. So yeah, I killed my press box connection, and everything's
That's a good time.
Yeah, that took way too much time out of break to figure out. So yeah, judge me whatever you want. I don't care. But that was a interesting project. Good talk. Good talk, guys. Mark, you said you had some news. Are we in the news segment?
News section. Chris,
Get
on up here, news boy.
Mark, you didn't go to the newsroom.
I'm going. All right, so we got a more of a listener email. Josh, you had this one soon, and then I've got a couple of news stories. The first one, now I didn't tell you what this news story was ahead of time because I wanted
suspense.
I wanted to build the suspense.
This a new CIO on the East Coast somewhere?
No.
Oh.
So this one actually, and you're gonna wonder where I'm going with this one, but I'm gonna bring it home soon. A North Dakota woman. Now, this story, I will say that this is from November, but it is kind of really hitting the news right now. A North Dakota woman was arrested for murder in November. This woman, Ina Thea Kenoyer, age 47, was arrested and charged with a Class A felony of murder for murder in connection with the September death of her boyfriend. And it turns out that she had been slowly poisoning him with a poison that is commonly found in antifreeze. And
did we not tell Mark that this needs to be tech news
or K-12?
Okay, well, we're gonna get to that. So stay with me. I'm gonna bury the lead here.
I got like 1 foot out the door, Mark.
Okay. All right. She had murdered her boyfriend with antifreeze.
Is it a boyfriend or husband, Mark?
It was a boyfriend. I apologize. Okay. When the police were trying to uncover the motive, it turns out that the boyfriend had recently discovered that he was soon to inherit $30 million.
Oh my God!
From a family member who had recently passed away, and she had murdered him in order to take that inheritance. However, she became obviously very upset when found out that North Dakota doesn't recognize common law. So this whole murder thing was for nothing. Now, you're wondering where am I coming with this story?
Mark? Come on.
This is great. Here's
over Christmas break. Mark wrote a story. He will now read it.
He binged Dateline.
Here's where it gets great. The boyfriend had recently found out that a relative that he had never heard of before had passed away and left him $30 million.
Oh, come on.
Kind of read between the lines here. He had fallen for a phishing scam.
Yeah.
And he thought he had won $30 million. And I think his plan was to break up with his girlfriend now that he was newly found rich. She wasn't too happy with that, so she murdered him to take his inheritance. Only to find out, A, that she was not entitled to any of that money, and then B, unfortunately, it was all a phishing scam.
And I'm assuming this guy was a teacher?
I thought the phishing was a good connection here. No.
It was good. I'm with you.
I think
that's extreme fishing. Like that's an extreme
an
extreme end.
Well, this is not Worldwide of Fishing and an extreme fishing show on ESPN.
I'm sorry. Well, listen, lesson be learned. choose your know before and proof point phishing templates very, very carefully.
I do think you just shared a story that would be great for sharing, like, to teachers, like as like you get some PD time with your teachers, share the crazy story.
Yeah. This stuff is real.
Instill fear.
And you could hire Mark to come in and tell a story that is
Almost relevant.
that he's not quite sure the details if it was a husband or a boyfriend.
All right.
I'm really excited for story number 2. What else you got, Mark? What's in the news?
The second one. This one is yes.
Weather.
Emsisoft is an online website that has cybersecurity services. They have published their state of ransomware in the U.S.
Brett Callow over there, right?
From 2023. I don't know.
Yeah, Brett's a good guy. He and I are Twitter friends.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
He asked us to come on their podcast.
Oh. Well, anyways, the story is
Elon
article,
prefers you call it X.
Got it. Okay. X.
Twitter.
Has some interesting statistics, and we'll link it in the show notes. It really kind of goes into the state of ransomware and focuses on hospitals, K-12 school districts, secondaries, post-secondary and governments. Obviously, massive increase since 2018. There's been a 30,000% increase in ransomware incidents. And their statistics are saying that the average ransom has gone from $5,000 in 2018 to now 1.5 million as the average.
Yeah.
So the exponential growth is just fascinating to see. And obviously K-12 schools are really at the heart of it, seeing, some huge numbers. Some of the interesting things that I pulled from this is the numbers were a whole lot lower than I actually expected them to be. They're looking at they reported a total of 108 K-12 districts hit by ransomware in 2023.
Yeah.
I fully expected that number to be way higher than that. So I wonder if part of this is just 108 publicly reported.
Yes.
K-12 districts impacted by ransomware.
Yeah, I think that number is vastly underreported because, Brett and his team over there, they're kind of like Doug, where they can only report on what's reported.
Right.
Like, they're not privy to unreported things or have a backdoor into an insurance company and know how many are going unreported.
Right. The interesting thing though is you kind of read through this, the common theme and one of the lessons that they really, really push on this, and it's coming from multiple sources, and Emsisoft is also, really kind of pushing this as well, is that the increase in ransomware payments, the average from 5,000 to 1.5 million, is the cause of the snowball. It's both the cause and the effect. And they're really pushing both the underline and obvious lesson from this one is really that there needs to be a ban on paying ransoms. That this needs to be more of a higher level decision, that organizations have to be actually prohibited from paying ransoms if we actually want to do anything about it. That's a very, very painful transition because there's going to be people that are caught in that. If there were to be a ban, you're going to have people who are caught in it who have no choice in order to get their systems back. But you have to take away the financial incentive in order if you want to stop this. So interesting article. We'll link this one in the show notes so you can kind of take some statistics away from this one. It is all sectors. The one thing though, this is not K-12. They did headline this article by saying from 2016 to 2021, we estimate that ransomware attacks killed between 42 and 67 Medicare patients. Yeah, these would be from hospitals who were unable to access their systems.
Crazy to think.
Unbelievable. Almost as dangerous as fake phishing scams, which have killed an estimated one person in North Dakota.
And here he is talking about Medicare on a K-12 Tech Talk podcast. So I think that topic of payment bans or ransomware payment bans, I think you'll see that gain steam over this next year. Maybe that's one of the trends that we could talk about.
I heard playground injuries go up when the school's under ransomware and they still have school. because they send the kids out to play because they can't get on the computers, and then they fall on the monkey bars.
Yeah. Paper cut injuries go up.
Playground injuries up 52%.
I missed that section in the article.
Maybe we should have Brett on and we can ask him about that statistic if they found.
Did you pull the playground data?
Did you talk to nurses?
Lunchroom incidents?
What can you tell us about splinters and bee stings?
Did you see an increase in the peanut allergy kids getting hit with the peanut butter sandwiches during Chili Day if there was a ransomware attack going on as well?
Wow, it's been 2 weeks.
Because they couldn't look and sis and see the allergy icon.
But okay, devil's advocate there. I mean we're laughing about that, which it's not peanut allergies. It's not a
the peanut allergy kid, like he's crawling along the wall just trying to get out of Chili Day. Like he didn't know he couldn't look at the menu.
Okay, totally hopping the rails here.
he entered the lunchroom. He's like, "Oh no, it's Chili Day. We gotta get the servers back up."
My wife made chili the other night, and I made a peanut butter sandwich to have with my chili. And she says, "You're having a peanut butter sandwich with your chili?" Oh, I was dipping it, and she chastised me for dipping it in the chili. Hey, I mean,
you chastised me for telling the phishing scam murder story?
Well, Chris, whatever. Oh my God, this is a train wreck. We're sorry, sponsors. This is not us.
Didn't know.
All right, Mark. What's your next news topic?
No, the next one was a posting from online. Some teachers are talking about many school districts have gone forward with the MFA, and now we're starting to see the MFA fatigue pushback from teachers. And so more than a few school districts or tech directors on K-12 Tech Pro talked about how do you handle the pushback from teachers who we've implemented MFA, but now they're just sick and tired of it. So Josh, Chris, have you experienced this in your districts? How do you deal with it? What do you do with a teacher who inevitably says, "I'm done with this. I'm not doing this anymore"?
So I saw that post, and I think we'll just kind of step through the story. The teacher comes in and I guess was on a new computer or something and got prompted for MFA to log into their Google account. Calls the help desk apparently and says, starting this year, I'm guessing new year, new me kind of statement.
Yeah.
I'm leaving my cell phone at home now. Thus, I cannot get MFA codes. You need to turn MFA off on my account. Okay. So apparently this district has had MFA on for their Google accounts for over 2 years. So this isn't a new thing. And this person's like, yeah, you're going to turn it off. It's never helped me. It's never prevented anything on my account. And it's only caused me headaches. Turn it off. And I think the end resolution was they showed this person how to go in and print off the OTP codes from admin console. And this person is rolling that way, I guess. Which, okay, so MFA is not off. So you still have that protection.
Score.
The person said they're going to write down the OTP codes. Okay, those are one-time codes, right? In Google, like you can't reuse those codes, I don't think.
No.
So if that's the route you want to take and generate 10 new codes once a week, okay, go whatever, man. If you want to leave your cell phone at home, which maybe they've got a cell phone addiction problem. I don't know. Everybody's got reasons for what they do.
Yeah. Another school landed on doing YubiKeys to those few. I think that's a lot. If there's access, I guess that's great.
I love UBs. I love my UB. Got multiple of them. But again, it's one of those things that, like the ones I have, I think they were $40, $45. I don't see a whole lot of districts picking that tab up for every staff member.
Yeah. I think it's helpful to have a few of them as accommodations. So if you have somebody who, they're just unable to do it for any reason, I'm not saying convenience or I'm not saying preference, but as we have somebody who is visually impaired and needs to have that. But a YubiKey, I don't think is a district-wide strategy, or shouldn't be a district-wide strategy in terms of what's sustainable and financially reasonable.
Mark's causing an argument with the person that said that's going to come up.
I'm not.
You know
saying,
who said
look,
that, didn't you, Mark?
Was it Chris?
No. Your anti-hero, your nemesis.
I have a nemesis.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Corey. Yeah.
Mhm.
Look, what I'm saying, I'm not saying it's a bad strategy. I'm just saying I can't afford to do that in my district.
Right.
And
Well,
I think most people are going to be in the same position of like, I cannot afford a $40 YubiKey and replacements for every teacher or staff member in the district.
Yeah.
If you're watching this, if you're not watching this, Mark might be winking at us.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of the paper in the pocket.
Yeah.
I got a few staff members who do that.
Okay. The other
they print out their own one-time codes every time.
Okay.
That's on them.
Right. The other side of that is if you have a staff member that say can't afford a cell phone or can't operate a smartphone, they have a flip phone, jitterbug kind of thing. Because there are certain staff members, a certain demographic of staff members that either can't or won't get a smartphone. So you've got to have at least a plan on how to let them access their mail. And I think that offline OTP or a UB, you're going to have a plan on how to do that. Chris, why don't you tell us about VIZOR real quick?
VIZOR, that's VIZOR. At the start of the school year, they released the new version. They've been a sponsor with us before. Over 60 new features were released back start of the school year. They can help you with your Chromebook logins, with your Chromebook management, with your Chromebook assignments. If you reach out to VIZOR, VIZOR.cloud/K12 Tech Talk, VIZOR.cloud/K12 Tech Talk. Click on the link or whatever, and you're going to get 20% off. Check out VIZOR.
All right, Mark, what other news do you got?
I got nothing. That's it. That's
right.
the end of the news. I'm sorry.
No geopolitical updates or anything.
We've agreed we cannot talk politics on this.
That's true.
I heard. Never mind.
But if you'd like to, I would
No.
love.
Nope. Not a good idea.
You want to talk about the Epstein list?
I don't think you. We're not going there.
That was a good bit. That was a good bit. Interesting names.
Josh, have you been on a private airplane?
I have not been on I interviewed at a company once that had a private airplane that had an office in Chicago, and if you had to go to Chicago, you could take the company plane to Chicago. And
wow,
I turned down that job.
Was Jeff Epstein on the plane with you when you were on this job?
That's not funny, Mark. That was a construction company in St. Louis.
So they said.
Yeah, whatever. So I mentioned that we got new cameras. Have you guys messed with 360 security cameras yet? I feel like they've kind of been around a while, but man, they are like, when you're going from an analog camera to a 360 camera, I thought our secretary at the high school, who's really the main one that's like a hawk watching the cameras all the time, I thought she was going to come out of her chair. It was funny to watch that reaction of 360 cam and updated hardware, software. It's pretty funny.
Did you like put in all new cameras everywhere, or a particular building, or just particular ones? Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Our high school had the oldest. They predated me. They predated me. The majority of the cameras, I would say over half. That's the majority, right? Were old analog cameras that were being converted to IP.
Yeah.
Streams. So it was time. It was actually way past time to get those replaced, and it's head and shoulders better than what.
Let's unpack that really quick. Was that done with tech budget money? Was that done with building money? Where'd the funding come from?
The original plan was that was going to come out of that safety and security grant from the state. We were awarded, I don't know, north of a couple $100,000 for that. But one of the other projects in that was security film on windows and doors.
Yeah.
And
We're doing that right now.
some equipment for our SROs. And I guess, that stuff's super expensive. So there wasn't quite enough to cover for the cameras, but there was still a little bit left for the cameras. So we had to backfill a little bit with just regular operational monies. But it's well worth it. Well worth it. When you looked at the original age of some of these analog cameras. So,
cool.
Back to school. Mark, are you back? Are you back with kids yet?
Yeah.
Are you?
Yep. We were back. Yesterday was the first day back.
With kids, yeah. We were back yesterday with kids. Teachers
We came back today.
Our first day was good. Our second day was much worse. It's like everybody lost their minds for some reason. Some systems updating were, first day back, it's get them there, get them fed, get them home, almost first day school vibes. But yeah, we had Study Island. Study Island will never be a sponsor for this show after about what I'm about to say. I don't know what the hell their problem is with their interface from Clever. But at the beginning of the year, it took them a month and a half to figure out that we have been using Clever to sync rosters with Study Island for 3 years. And they were telling us we've never used Clever. So that was like a month and a half of arguing back and forth. And then again today, none of our second semester rosters had synced. So we had to start this whole discussion again that we use Clever to sync rosters. And Study Island can go jump off a bridge as far as I'm concerned. Chris, what was your first day like?
In the morning, I rolled into school at 7:30-ish, walked in and was told that teachers can't take attendance. That was really cool. We had a sys issue.
7:30. I'm taking lunch break by then. I'd been at work since like 6:30.
I usually roll in at 8. 7:30 was early for me.
I set my alarm for 7:30, but
whatever, Mark.
And then we were dealing, and that was not a big deal. That was not a big deal. That was fixed in like 15 minutes. Got through that, and then a couple hours passed.
Let's be honest. Did you fix that, or did someone else fix that?
No, I did make a phone call.
Okay.
I did, and my sys coordinator knocked it out of the park and fixed it.
Yeah, you didn't answer that question there. Did you?
I did not
fix
fix
it.
it.
Somebody else. Okay.
I sent the email saying that there was an issue, and I sent the email saying it was resolved. And then the sys coordinator fixed it in the midst of all that and did the actual work. And then a couple hours later, our website went down. Someone hosts our website. There was an issue. We went down, and then the chaos happened because we have a lot of people that don't do bookmarks or don't know how to kind of type the website into the search bar to see it. They just go to our district website and click on staff apps sys or staff apps, whatever. So because website was down, they said they couldn't do this, and this because they,
Chris,
do our website for everything.
You really should have pushed those out as desktop icons for them.
It is a lack of PD. It is on me. But it was a great day after that. It was a fine day. And I didn't fix that problem either. Someone else did.
Mark, any craziness first days? No. Thanks for your input. One thing to keep an eye out for that is kind of going around right now, there's an ongoing fish. It came up in conversation in one of the message boards I'm in, I guess, Tuesday. It was a fish that looks like it's a Google Doc shared document that is coming from a financial institution. You pick your favorite, Wells Fargo, Chase, or the two that I saw today at my district. And it looks like it's coming from a .eu account. So if we had
one of those too today.
You might want to go do, if you have Google, an investigation into incoming emails that say important. Well, I forget what the subject was, but it was like important item shared with you. Your account's been compromised.
It was decent looking. We had one that went to a counselor that was in the midst of doing some stuff with their house or something, and he even said, "I didn't use my school account to be working on this, so he was a little taken aback that it came to a school account. So that was what kind of triggered in his head.
So the way we found, a teacher alerted us to the message that they received, then we went and did an investigative search, and if we ended up searching for words in the body, because this information was in the body of the message, not in the subject or the header or sender information. Search for contact accask.eu. And we were hit or targeted multiple times over the last several days, and it was different shared documents, different subjects, and it is a documented fish going around. So be aware of that. Let's see, Google Scuba, or I'm sorry, it's not called Google Scuba. It's CISA's Scuba product, right? I don't remember what Scuba stands for. Secure. Heck. If we would have done our work ahead of time, we would have this ready to go. But CISA came out with, it was right before break. I remember taking note of this Secure Cloud Business Applications project by CISA. It's a GitHub project that they've written with Python. The one that I used taps into my Google Workspace instance and looks at key settings and log entries to make sure that we have things configured in appropriate ways. And that's everything.
Scuba Googles.
That's everything from
Scuba goggles,
mail relaying to DKIM, DMARC, SPF. I haven't looked at my document stuff or my drive stuff, but a neighboring district was messaging me today, and it goes into recommended settings about external sharing and stuff like that. They also have a Scuba project for Office 365 instances.
Yep.
So it's free to download the GitHub. They've got it documented on their website. I just now searched CISA Scuba, SCUBA. And it was one of the top, our first responses back. It was for someone, I'm a self-admitted, I don't use Python. I don't program in Python. So I had to get it, install it, get the extra plugins that it required. But their documentation on the GitHub page about how to install this and how to run it is spot on. Very, very detailed, very exact. The steps were right. And it works, and it runs, and it prints out a little, or presents you with a little HTML page with the report information and suggested steps and actions to take. So if you haven't looked at that yet, check out CISA's Scuba project. And I can almost guarantee it'll find things that you need to address. It found some things that I'm like, oh crap, I completely forgot about doing that. So yeah.
And again, if you're a Microsoft school, check it out. If you're a Google school, check it out.
Yeah, and you don't have to be a Python expert, because I'll be the first person in line to tell you I am not a Python expert whatsoever. And I was able to get it running, I don't know, 2 hours. I mean, and that was yesterday, so that was in the middle of our first day back, and phone ringing and getting distracted a couple different times. So you can get that running pretty easily. Chris, you haven't ran it yet?
I could probably do an hour and a half. Mark, what do you think you could get it in?
Mark would tell Joe to do it.
An hour and 29 minutes.
That's not giving Joe a lot of credit. I think he could do it faster than that. So let's see, Mark, you wanted to talk about branding, or Chris, you wanted to talk about branding.
Yeah, I thought I'd throw this out there because it's not a tech thing, but maybe it is a tech thing. I'm curious to pick your brains on if it hits you at your school district or not. When it comes to branding, when it comes to website colors, attire colors, like hats and shirts, what's your logo? Are there different versions of it? Who manages your social media, backgrounds and profile pics and all that kind of stuff? Does tech department get thrown into it? Does tech department stay far away from that? How does that work in your school districts?
We just went through this, actually, and thankfully we have a communications person that we hired I don't know, 6, 7 years ago, maybe. And this over the last, I would say, probably 18 months, he worked on getting a standard color set, a palette, whatever you want to call it, our official colors, our official logo, redid all of our letterheads. And it was a whole committee thing. Went to the board for approval. Like, this is our yellow, this is our black, this is the logo. You're supposed to use this one, not because we had like, I bet we had 10 different versions of our mascot logo running around over the last 15 years that were, clip arts that you can Google our logo, because it's a rather prominent logo in college football. That we have an agreement. It's not copyright infringement. Like, they're letting us use this. But there were probably, like I said, 10 to 15 different versions of that logo running around. So now we have an official logo that is supposed to be the only one that's used. That's been communicated out to clubs and booster clubs and sports teams, all that fun stuff. So when they order apparel, they're ordering the right logo. So yeah, it's a whole thing, man.
Did you see yourself get involved in it or no?
No. Nope. Didn't honestly didn't want to be.
Right.
And thankfully he didn't ask me to. So
Mark?
I mean, I think in terms of decisions over branding, it's definitely not a technology decision. But we have been looped in or involved when there's sort of changes or updates to it, and people are asking our help to update sites and systems for it. That kind of comes to the logo, the branding, the colors, those kinds of things. In fact, we're going through a system configuration right now for a new system, and I went to our comms department. I said, "Hey, we're being asked questions about our branding. Can you answer these questions on this template?" So I pushed that one back to them, and luckily they have a branding template guide that we're able to use and fill it in. We do. It's interesting. We just have a new communications person who just started today, and I had a great conversation with him about, like, hey, we two of us need to sit down and talk about what our roles are in terms of I might be overseeing the contract for the website and providing some technical support, but at the same time I depend on your team to be overseeing the governance of it. So I think that's kind of going back to your original question around branding. My team, we're providing technical support and guidance when that needs to be done, but the actual governance is done by our comms person and his team.
So we are maybe going through what Josh's school district just went through, that where there's a committee about communication and branding is one of those topics. I'm on the committee. I'm not on there's a subgroup for the branding. I'm not on that. But part of the big picture meeting was to talk about this kind of stuff. And I let the committee know it's been, and we're a small school district. So, this can go different ways, I think, because we don't, and we're not that much different in size from Josh, but yet we don't have a dedicated communications person. We have a person that wears 6 hats, and that's one of her roles. But we talked about, if I've been at this school district for 10 years, I think the website's been redone in a major way probably 3 times. And the colors on the website and the logo and the look, it was kind of just tech department doing whatever we wanted. And that's not, I was telling them, I don't like that. We stared at each other in the office of who can make the best logo. And that's what got put up. And then that's what gets used. We need something bigger. We need something board approved. We need something that administration backs, that this is the color and this is the color and this is the logo. That's how it's supposed to be. But instead, our district kind of looks at tech department as we're the keepers of the images.
Yeah.
And that's not what we want.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how it's been. So I'm hoping to get it more towards what Josh is talking about.
And honestly, that's the way it was before we had a comms person. People came to us, hey, do you have a logo we can use for this? Or that's how it was.
Over Christmas break, I was asked, it was someone trying to customize a basketball with a name of a basketball player on it as a Christmas gift. my school's logo was on it, and they wanted the player's name on it, so they were asking what our font is. And I was like, we don't like have a font. I don't know what. And again, I'm not the person to say that. I can tell you what the website's using, but that's not like official font. So again, I would love for, I think I would love for the school district to get to that. I'm also about like, if we don't care, we don't care, but let's make a statement and say we don't care. Or go the exact opposite.
One thing that you could do to kind of help out is, put a page up or a document that has your branding guidelines. And it can be very, very simple in terms of, this is our logo. Here's a couple of different versions in a high res, video file or audio photo. And then do the specific. I found this too. If you have a font, or you can select a font, add that in. But the colors, the actual hex code for the colors, super helpful. And that's what our comms team has done. They have the hex colors so that when we're configuring a system, the technical folks know exactly the color shade to use. So
and apparently that was like a several meeting discussion, was the hex color, the shade, which hex color was the appropriate hex color to use. And that's why I was happy I was not on that committee.
You mentioned that safety film earlier. So we're getting some of the safety stuff that's like it's like the school colors and stuff for the front of the doors and the windows. And that was brought up. And you know how you get this, like what you see on your monitor is not actually what's going to be printed, the color in real life. And our principals had looked at proofs and they love the door and they're like getting it, and then they get it like, well, this isn't our red. Well, again, what is our red? And if we had a document that said what our red is, that would have sure helped the graphics people.
Well, I'll give you a word of caution when it comes to branding and logos and things. My department, this was actually before I came in, my department had a student run competition to do a campaign about cyber safety. And the students created some really cool artwork with different superheroes. One was named Firewall and told them what to do. And, one was about phishing. So these like really cool student created designs were created to help raise awareness from cyber safety. Well, they were called cyber superheroes. And the term superhero is actually trademarked.
Are you kidding?
We got a cease and desist letter from the trademark owner of the trademark term superhero. And I will hold back the person who gave us the cease and desist letter, but it's a really fun party story to be like, I got a cease and desist letter from your children's favorite movie production studio.
Wow.
Yeah. So be careful with the term superhero, but hero is just fine.
I wonder if we're going to get a cease and desist now.
Thanks a lot, Mark.
Oh, sorry.
Mark, if you had to pick me or Josh to be your hero, who would you pick?
I know who he would pick. Rise Vision.
Because that sounds like a superhero name.
Yeah, it does.
Rise Vision to the rescue. Listen up, K-12 Tech Talk listeners. Does that sound heroic? Listen up, K-12 Tech Talk listeners. Are you tired of expensive and hard-to-use digital software in your school? Rise Vision can help. We're going to hang out with Rise Vision for the next few weeks. You can check out Rise Vision at risevision.com to figure out how you can switch up your school's communication.
They do what all they do?
Digital signage and more.
Yeah. That's what I thought. They've been with us before, haven't they?
They have been.
What I thought.
Friends.
All right.
Heroes.
Let's see. SOC is a service. Mark, there was a Reddit post that struck your fancy. That was about SOC
tickled
as
it,
a service.
I believe.
I believe it tickled your fancy. You text us, and that was really strange. You want to...
Let's unpack that on this thing, by the way. Mark, we are close enough that if you're going through things, we still expect text messages. I want to put that out there as truth. I know that we are in Missouri and you are in Massachusetts, but we are friends. I'm your friend, and Josh is your friend. I know it's a weird friendship. We've only actually clocked a little bit of time together face to face, but we love you. We are here for you.
And don't ghost us again, Mark.
And it ticks us off when you don't, because we know that, like, when I get a text and my phone makes a noise or it buzzes or it lights up or it does something to indicate a text is there, that technology works for you as well.
Yes.
So any excuse is no excuse.
I'm sorry, I've been a little quiet over the last couple of weeks. You guys have been very vocal over the text message.
Oh, you don't know half the idea of the text messages that I've been sending Chris about you.
Yeah,
that's
we still do that too.
I do know that there's a lot of back end conversations. Right? Like, that jerk is not responding. So,
well, when I call Chris and he hits decline because he knows it makes me very angry. When you don't answer our text, Mark,
yeah, it hits.
There's similar rage.
It hits.
Back to the. I apologize.
Back to the.
I wasn't looking for apology. I just want to put things on the record. Anyway, what are we talking about? SOC as a service.
Yeah, Mark's
tickling fancies.
Mark's fancy tickle.
Yeah, so there was
he didn't do that on an airplane. He didn't do a fancy. It didn't tickle a fancy on an airplane.
There was a Reddit post. It was actually from an MSP who supports K-12 districts, and they're asking about how you handle or if you're interested in SOC as a service, and kind of what's your kind of guidelines for it. I know we've talked about this a little bit in the pod. Some of us have different types of monitoring services. When you have a third party managing your security operations, there's always going to be that decision of when do I alert the district to an issue. The same thing happens though if you are managing this internally, if you're the ones managing this, because we all get alerts that tell us whether or not there's a problem. This could be something in terms of your firewall is, running some alerts on some interesting traffic, or you have some student behavior that may need to be alerted to a principal. Wanted to hear your thoughts about both SOC as a service, and if you are running an external or a third party security operations center, what is your balance and what is your guidance that you give to that company in terms of alerting and when to involve you and when to act on their own? So,
okay. I think that a couple pieces of this go hand in hand, and I'm just gonna throw back to who our studio is named after right now, NTP. So in these discussions, because we have to vet these companies that come on here and advertise with us, and it's a very strenuous vetting process. Like I made David take me to dinner several times, and we talked about things, and I asked him his taste in bourbon. Like that's the kind of vetting that I do. But part of that was a conversation about SOC as a service and the tools that they offer. So when you look at a SOC, I think the two things that go hand in hand is, or should be, that managed EDR piece, because if they're just looking at your AD logs, like they've got a SIEM going or a monitor going that's looking at AD logs or lateral movement, authentications, and they get tipped off to a bunch of, like, a brute force attack, what are they going to do? They can call you, but what else are they going to do? So to me, that's where that layered approach comes in, to where if they're also managing your EDR remotely or through console, if they can't get a hold of you at 2 a.m, or you're on vacation on a cruise in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, they have the ability to shut things down immediately, sever community, or take your high value servers offline, take the device that's causing the issue offline if they can, if they can't get a hold of you. To me, that's bare minimum. If you're taking that jump from a managed SOC as a service, that's basic entry to me. Like, if you're not getting that, what are you getting out of it? So yeah, that's one thing that NTP does really, really, really well.
And I think that's actually a good thing too, is if you're hiring a third party to handle your alerting, and they have additional capabilities within your systems, you also have to communicate what your expectations are for them to act,
Absolutely.
which is something that we don't always think about until it has happened. Whereas when you're using the SOC as a service or third party, hopefully they're asking you and they're pushing you to kind of make these decisions and to document these kinds of things now, which I think is beneficial for all of us. It may seem cumbersome and painful if you've never been through that before, but it's going to force you to come up with your protocols for how you want them to act on alerts.
Yeah, David told me when they onboard clients, the conversation, part of the conversation is, okay, if you have something bad happen and we pick it up, if we try to contact you over email and phone in a very short amount of time, you said the response is, minutes. If we can't get a hold of you, what do you want us to do? Do you want us to keep watching and see if it spreads laterally even more? If it gets worse, then take action? Or do you want us to immediately take action? Do you want us to just take that single host offline? Do you want us to take your high value targets offline as well? So yeah, you need to have that. It's almost like that insurance, when you're buying life insurance, that, God forbid something were to happen. Like, it's that same conversation. God forbid something happens, somebody's in your network moving laterally. What do you want this SOC as a service to do? Chris, any thoughts?
Well, I would say I want what you have. So I have an EDR. I pay for the extras, but it's tied in with the EDR. So they're going to do stuff, but not at a. You've mentioned some relational things and walking through processes, procedures. I'm more paying for. This is what I know I get. If this is happening, this is what they say they're going to do for me. Not so much me getting to tell them what I would like them to do, kind of stuff. So I don't have much to add because I believe in EDR. I believe in SOC. I do not have the tech department for us to dig through logs and look at stuff, and even the alerts that we get. And it's not fun to say or good to say. I probably shouldn't say it out loud, but we don't get to respond as quick as we would like sometimes. I
Well,
did get the email notification. I did see this
sure.
going down, but I was in the middle of whatever else.
And I think it's fair to say, because I think, and this is probably going to be a generalization, but I think it's pretty accurate. The majority of districts, even in Missouri where we are small districts. They don't have the staff to react real time during the business hours. They're only going to react when their phone starts ringing off the hook. They don't have a full-time staff member from 7 to 3, let alone 24/7, to be watching AD logs at the same time they're watching your EDR logs, at the same time they're watching your firewall log, to make sure to see what traffic is transversing out, hitting authentication on AD, as well as maybe throwing a weird error on a downloaded executable
Yeah.
from the EDR. Like, Mark, you're different, but I bet there's less than 10 districts in Missouri that have that capability on staff. So
I don't think the size of your district matters. Like I think K-12 as a whole, we do not have the capability to monitor all of the alerts and all of the systems that are logging your traffic and throwing up alarms, and we barely have time to react. So I do think that it's up to all of us, no matter what the size of your district is, to really strongly consider SOC as a service, for at least your monitoring, and if you can, for your response as well.
Well, and I think, Pate, God rest his soul, he was an early adopter of a managed EDR, and you could say SOC as a service. He was using Albert from MSISAC and CISA, and he had told me he only protected his high value servers, so sys servers and a couple other Active Directory servers that had their managed EDR on it, so that if they did catch something with Albert or with the EDR, he at least knew that the SOC could take down those 2, 3, 4 high value servers. He didn't have it on hundreds of machines. He had it on a handful, but he knew those handful were protected. And I think that's an easy way to get started. It's vastly cheaper than doing big bang whole environment kind of thing. And if that's the way you have to dip your toe into that environment,
Yeah.
maybe that's the way you do it.
Yeah.
Chris.
I agree.
Good talk.
All right. Chris, you want to quickly tell us about our friends at Extreme so we don't forget
D
about
Mayer, Dominic Mayer at extremenetworks.com. He can hook you up with your extreme switching needs. I have like 5 switches sitting on my desk, little bitty, like they're 8 porters that I'm trying to put my networking admin hat on and configure. I gave Josh a couple text messages and a phone call today.
that I declined the phone call.
Yeah. Pulled a mark on me.
Yeah, I was, to be fair, I was on the phone.
Anyway, Extreme. Check them out. Aggressive pricing, high specs, good switches.
Well, we started out rough. Mark had news stories from Dateline. But I think by the end of the episode, guys, we were hitting on all cylinders by the end of the episode. We were hitting it good.
I think we're back.
I think we're back. Next
New
week
studio.
New studio. The
New look.
paint, the fresh coat of paint in here.
Woo!
Yeah, it kind of smells. We're kind of getting high. Not Chris, of course. But yeah, it's speaking. We're gonna have to talk to David though about getting the green room back and
we
stuff.
haven't explained the snacks yet. I don't know.
Yeah. Did he know what he was signing up for when he did this? Like,
I don't think so.
okay, well, we're gonna have a talk because the green room needs snacks and bourbon. All right, guys. I guess next week, shoot us an email. So give us your thoughts on SOC as a service. Are you doing SOC as a service? Do you have a favorite Dateline story about a $30 million inheritance? Yeah.
Post this on X.
Shoot us an email, k12techtalk@gmail.com. Give us some episode or give us some ideas.
Talk about branding. Why would you get rid of the word tweet?
Yeah, and go with a letter.
You had the household thing.
Yeah.
You tweet it.
And it's a joke here in Missouri that we call things their old names forever and ever. Like there's concert venues in the area that they're still called their old names that haven't been called that in 40 years practically. So it will always be Twitter to me. So yeah, shoot us an email, k12techtalk@gmail.com. Share us with your friends. Hit K12 Tech Pro. They're at 500 members now, going strong.
Holla!
Always some good conversation over there. We will see you next week. Thanks for listening.
The views and opinions expressed on the K12 Tech Talk podcast are the personal opinions of Josh, Chris, and Mark, and do not represent the views or opinions of our sponsors or other organizations that we're affiliated with. The material and information presented here is for general information and entertainment purposes only. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.